let's go ahead and get this party started. So tell me a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in the insurance space? How'd you get your start? One of the things that we do like to do on the podcast is focus. Obviously, we're going to talk insurance, but we also want to find out kind of how you ended up there and what are the things that make you you? What are the things that you like to do and that aren't insurance? Because a lot of that kind of help mold you and get you into the space that you're in, you know? Yep. So we believe in building affinity. That's how we try to do that, just by asking some questions and getting some honest, open feedback and having fun along the way.
For sure, man. No, absolutely. So my story starts back, in 2009. So I actually went to college I was going to go to law, and then, so I had to get an internship to be able to graduate. So instead of going to Panama City with my buddies, I skipped spring break and went around my small town looking for either accounting jobs or went to law offices. And none of them had any interest in bringing me on for the summer as an intern. And they all felt like funeral homes anyway. So all good. And then I went to some insurance agencies, and quite frankly, they felt like funeral homes too. But I did stumble across one that he told me, no, thank you. Come back next year after you have your degree or whatever. But they were like a younger office, and it was a young vibe, like a pretty cool vibe. And I'm like, well, they're by far the best opportunity I've had so far today. So I literally went back the next morning, showed up before anybody else. The guy got out of his car, and right when he pulled in the parking lot, got out of his car, he kind of gave me like that side eye, and I'm like, well, here we go. So I went up, I was like, hey man, like I'm going to show up here every day until you give me a job. So he gave me a job that summer. He called it a marketing expert, but really what it was is it was working about 3 to 4 hours a day for 3-ish days a week. And I was their cold calling expert and errand boy. So that's how I got my start. Not that I fell in love with cold calling, not that I fell in love with obviously running errands, but money hungry 21-year-old Michael, at the end of the summer, the agent showed me a check, and I grew up very blue collar. So the check at that point in time in my mind I thought was probably like 3 to 4 months of my parents' income. And he's like, I get 2 of these a month. So if you think you'd be interested in making money like this in the future, we'd love to have you as part of the team. So I went back to college, graduated, and then went to work with him full time a month after I graduated college.
That's awesome, man. That was one of the things that was extremely motivating for me as well. Was I remember the first time. So I started as a captive multi-line agent for American National, and every year they do their professional seminar thing. And they used to do the profit bonus checks, like the big foam checks, like on the front of the stage. And I remember seeing some of those checks, and it was like, oh my gosh, that is more money than I have ever seen in my lifetime. It's like, and that's not even what that guy made for the year. That was just the bonus. Yeah, it's interesting. There are different things that happen that change what your scale of what's good is.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like living paycheck to paycheck and you're making $20 an hour. It's like, hey, we're doing pretty good.
That's right.
And then you hit that next benchmark and it's like, oh, okay, well that's what good is. And you hit the next benchmark. Oh, that's what good is. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of work your way through that and make your way through. So where did you go from there? You got in, started working, doing your stuff.
Yep. So I went back to work with him. So I graduated college, went back to work with him. And then I would say I struggled. I mean, a 22-year-old, like you only know what you know, right? So, but I did have a really good work ethic and I was extremely money motivated. And so the first, I would say 4 to 6 months was probably a struggle in the office. Just sales didn't come natural to me. I was definitely really focused on selling on price, single lining. But eventually with time, some confidence grew. And I picked up a book called The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. I was super poor back then. I mean, obviously straight out of college eating ramen noodles, right? Making 24 grand a year was kind of my base. And the commission opportunity honestly wasn't great. Like the thing that made me really dig in and anchor into the opportunity was the light at the end of the tunnel of I could own my own agency one day and I could make money, real money, like my agent was making or like my mentor. And so the very first thing that I started to do was develop myself. So I picked up The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. It was a little CD cassette series. I think there were like 5 CDs in it. And I had about a 30-minute work to drive every day and a 30-minute drive home. And so every single day for 18 months in a row, I listened to that damn CD on the way to work, on the way home from work. And I would say that's really what started to develop my sales career and change for the future, because I started to see real results as well. Like I started to have success, and then that success just started to compound. So within about an 18-month period of starting, I become the number one producer for that carrier anyways in the state of Missouri and Kansas from a team member perspective. And so I started to gain a lot of confidence, started to get asked to come into agents' offices, train their teams, and then I eventually got my shot. So I would have started with him in July of 2010. And then in 2013, I was approached by the company. So August of 2013 would have been my last day with him because I had interviewed for a scratch opportunity, got it. So my wife and I then started the scratch opportunity. We had a whirlwind of crazy things happen. So I proposed in May of 2013 to her. She said yes, luckily. Found out about the agency opportunity in August, applied for it, got it. There's about a 6-month internship with that carrier. So in October, we bought our house. In February, we got married. And in April 1st, we started the agency and we had a total of $5,000 to our name. So backs were against the wall. We had no backup plan. She had no insurance experience, but I talked her into going in on this crazy dream with me because I knew that if we went about it together, we'd be great. I don't know how smart it was giving up the financial security of her income at that time, but it all worked out, man. Lots of 18, 20-hour days for basically the first 2 years, but we worked together. We've seen each other every day, and we ever since then. So we've went on to develop 5 or 6 more businesses, and we've developed all of them together, and it's been great, man.
That's cool. I had a real similar kind of whirlwind. I got within a 6-month window, I got married, and not just married, but married with instant family, my stepson Colin, and then lost a job, opened my agency, bought a house, like all in 6 months. It was a lot.
It's I think all of that happens for a reason. I think that what doesn't kill you just makes you better. Like you life
That's for bears. Bears don't kill you.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And we don't have bears down here, so we're good down here. But no, man, I agree. I think that the whirlwind of everything, I mean, business is a whirlwind. Entrepreneurship is a whirlwind. Like change is inevitable. So if you can get through those changes in your life and navigate those in the best way you can, then I think that just prepares you for the future and business ownership in general.
Yeah, man. Carson and I were talking with a group yesterday, and we talked about really that same thing. It's like everybody faces adversity. Everybody. The difference between successful individuals, mediocre individuals, and not successful is just how you deal with the adversity. Everybody has challenges that come up. The big difference is, do you confront them head on? Do you let it happen to you? Do you play the victim card, or you just own it, wear it, and move forward? Like, hey, I'm going to pivot off this thing. And I know in my head that I have never come across a challenge that didn't put me in a better position at the end. Now, it might have taken a couple months, might have taken a little time to get there,
For sure.
but I always come out on the other side better than I went in every time.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for being late, gentlemen. That's my bad. I apologize. And Michael, I will send you a bucket of chicken because that's what I do. You laugh, but it's actually true.
Here comes the chicken.
But no, that was such a good conversation yesterday. And I appreciate the fact that we're having it today. Literally the call that made me late, I was talking to an agent off the cliff who was on that call yesterday, Peter. And we kind of went back through the same thing. Michael, I would love your input on this. We just kind of went back through, he's not on the cliff when it comes to life and death and those things. He's on the cliff when it comes to business. Like, is it even worth doing this? And he's had some phenomenal success in this industry. He's like, is it even worth it anymore? I don't know. And I just have all these things going on in life and all this and all that. And so we just kind of went back through it. And it was like, well, what else are you doing outside of business? Right? Because we talked about yesterday, winning at anything makes it easier to win at everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes the confidence I need to take that hard step in my insurance business is the confidence I get from just like choosing a healthier lunch today instead of going to McDonald's. And all of a sudden I'm like, dang, I know I made a good decision. Now I can make one more. And just would love kind of your take on that and how that's played into your whole story.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you bring up the health because I've been on a pedestal this year so I'm on a health journey myself, but I'm a firm believer that how you perform professionally is how you're taking care of yourself personally, right? So the number one thing that you have to do, and this is in every aspect of your life, but if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not confident with yourself, that's going to roll over into every aspect of your life. So the relationship with your spouse, relationship with I don't have kids yet, but the relationship with your kids, is your business, your employees. And I think you just hit the nail on the head. Like, what's the one thing that you can look forward to every single day that brings you some type of joy, some type of confidence? Maybe you're having fun with it. So like, I always rely back on, like, I'm very much into like a morning routine. Not that my morning routine hasn't changed throughout different seasons of my life, right? So I was just in Sedona for 4 months and we rented a house that had a cold plunge and sauna. So it made it really easy that every day I started my day, I woke up at 5 a.m. I went out and I jumped in the sauna for 30 minutes, jumped in the cold plunge, came in, read a book for 20 minutes. Like, that was my morning routine. And that automatically set me up to be like, shit, it's 7 a.m. in the morning and I already won my day. Like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I feel good about what I did, what I've already accomplished. Ultimately, nothing can happen today that's going to really ruin my day. Sure, there's going to be some tough moments that probably can happen, but I can always go back to, like, a lot of times. So my wife and I, we every single day we ask each other, what was the best thing that happened to you today? So we ask ourselves that at the end of the day at like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever the work day is that day. And then again, before we go to bed. And so many times the best thing that's happened to me that day has something to do with what I accomplished that morning, whether it was my morning routine, whether it was the walk with her. Very few times does it have to do with what I did at work that day or what I accomplished at work. Now, if it's a big goal or I get to do something I love, like if it's a Tuesday where I'm training or I'm doing a webinar, sometimes those are the best parts of my day because I freaking love those aspects of what I do, right? But so many times it's what I really loved. The best part about my day was watching on our walk the sunset or the sunrise with the dogs, right? So I'm a big believer in that. And then as far as like the career, I think when you're taking care of yourself personally, everything just seems to go better professionally. Like right now, things are just going so well because our main focus and priority is health. I mean, working out 3 times a week, meditating, eating healthier food options. Like right now we're getting our blood tested every quarter just to see how our body's reacting to certain foods, certain supplements. And that all has to do with what's going on professionally. But I think the number one professionally that you, like in that conversation yesterday you're having, is like, what's the 1 or 2 things you even look forward to doing on a daily basis in your career? Not that you're going to enjoy every aspect of your day or every aspect of your career, but when you get to a certain point, Carson, I'd love your take on this. The first few years of entrepreneurship are really tough and building a business. And I would say 90% of your day may be doing things that you don't necessarily love, but you have to do unless you have the finances to be able to delegate those out. But as you evolve in your career, I think the roles reverse to a 90% of your day should be around the things that you really are the best at, that light you up, that make you happy, that you find joy in. And the 10% are maybe those things that you do have to do, even though maybe you don't love them, you're still the best at them, or they just fall on your shoulders because you're the CEO, you're the leader, you're the manager, you're the whatever. And so that's what the advice I would give is, what can you do? 1 or 2 things in your personal life that bring you lots of joy, confidence, happiness, just make you feel good. Same thing professionally. What's 1 to 2 things you can do every single day, every single week that you know is going to make you light you up in your career? So if you like meeting with customers, start meeting with customers 2 or 3 times a week. Like, if that's the joy that you have in what you do, then do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think so. We always talk about, and we apply it oftentimes when we're setting up, we call it a strategic marketing plan, right? But I think it applies to everything, how you run your daily business, how you do all of it, how you decide what you're going to do in a day and what you're going to spend money on other people doing or programs or whatever, right? Or you might even decide that you're just going to extricate that from your business altogether. Like, I'm not going to pay for a program or a person to do that. We're just not going to do it. Like, I don't do health insurance. When I first got licensed, they told me you need to get health license and offer health insurance too. And I don't like it. There are people that do. I extricated it from my business and now we just refer it to some really, really great health insurance agents. So I don't pay for programs or people or anything like that. I just have some really great friends as agents and move on. But we run this 5-point filter to really help you determine what should you be doing? Where should you be spending your time, your money? And one of those big points we call fulfillment. Like, what are you actually getting from it? Because here's what I know, and I know you know this as well. If you don't love doing it, you might be able to do it for a day or a week or even a couple years as you get your business off the ground like you were talking about. But eventually, you are going to quit doing it. And the day you quit doing it is the day you will quit seeing results from it. People leave this industry because they quit doing things they hated doing, but they never found a way to either automate, delegate, delete, or defer those things.
Yep.
And so here they are stuck 2, 3, 4, 5 years later. They may have even had some, like, how many agents have you seen have significant success? They make hundreds of thousands and they still leave to go work construction because they couldn't quit doing the stuff they hated.
Burnout.
Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
you have to be focused on fulfillment.
I think there's a couple things with that too, though, is that number one is there's a path through embracing the suck.
Yeah.
You know, like find that thing that you don't like doing and find a way to like doing it, right? It's like going to the gym. Like, I don't like working out, but if I tell myself I don't like working out, then I really don't like working out, right?
Yep.
So if I can trick myself into thinking, you know what? Number one, this is a temporary thing, but number two, I'm going to find a way to make this enjoyable. I'm going to gamify this. I'm going to find a way to win at this and make it where it's not the worst part of my day. That can turn into a win. And then the other thing is that the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yep.
So if you go in half-assed to your business day, you're probably going half-assed at home as well. You know, you need to go full-assed into whatever you're doing. You need to stay to whatever you're doing. Yeah, whatever you're doing, 100%, you know, because the way you do anything is the way you're going to do it.
I would agree with that. I mean, all gas, no brakes. Like I have this saying in my life, and sometimes, in all fairness, it drives some of my team crazy. Sometimes Corey's like, come on. But I have a saying that's like, I say, it's not that hard. And that's just something like a motto that I have said for a really long time. And I don't know if it's just a mindset, but it does help me get through things. Like even the things that I might not necessarily want to do, I'm like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard, guys. Like, let's just get this done. Let's do it. Because on the other end of done is where the fun actually starts a lot of times. Like the process to get to the done, while I understand you got to enjoy the journey, and the journey's there for a reason to see who's worthy of the result on the backside. But man, like some of the things that you guys have to do, we have to do in business, it's not always fun. But if you just constantly tell yourself, or at least this is my thing, you guys can tell whatever, it's not that hard. And if that's just the mindset I go into everything with, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Well, all of a sudden things become not that hard. And to answer one thing that came up that's really personally helped me, Carson, with some bringing back some fulfillment and meaning in my life is we did a Tony Robbins event back in March. I mean, we locked ourselves in our house. There were 12-hour days, 4 days in a row, and we wanted to be super intentional. And so we locked ourselves in the house, no social media, no phones, no nothing. And while that wasn't part of necessarily the event, what we took away from that the last 2 months is we've actually limited ourselves to social media. Because I don't know about you guys, and not everyone has this experience with social media, but social media was a huge distraction to me. What I found was my anxiety levels were much higher. My comparison levels were much higher. And so by limiting social media to just an hour a day now following that event, so the last 2 months in a row, I would say I have much more clarity. So social media tend to make me very cloudy. And I think it's because of so much scrolling. And I don't think, like, research shows humans, we're not able to process all that
Yeah,
data.
we're not supposed to consume that amount of content.
Yeah,
in that
so, like,
short of amount of time.
I'm so much more clear. My anxiety is so much less. I am extremely more focused, more intentional. And so by eliminating that, not that I was even on it a lot, like my average screen time was around 3 hours a day. So some people, I looked at a buddy the other day, his screen time was 8 hours. I'm like, holy shit, dude, like, come on. But either way, like by eliminating that, I'll tell you, Carson, like that's also helped me, going back to your original question. I feel so much better about what I do every day. And I'm so much more clear. I'm excited, less anxiety. I've picked up hobbies. And so that's the other thing, is not getting lost in your identity and understanding that just because you do something doesn't necessarily mean that's who you are. So that's one thing that came to my mind I wanted to share, because it's been a blessing for me and Courtney, honestly.
Dude, I think it's kind of crazy in our business, and this is like totally out there in left fields, but stick with me. The amount of dopamine addiction that I see in agents and myself at times too, right? You have one bad day, and so you lean on something like a little bit of doom scrolling and a lunch beer. All of a sudden that turns into 3 hours a day of lunch beers and doom scrolling. And then all of a sudden you're doom scrolling after work too. And then here you are sitting at 8 hours a day. And it's not just social media. It could be other things too. Like I had one bad day, so I just walked away in the middle of the day and went fishing. Hey, not a bad thing. Sometimes you need to walk away.
Yep.
But now you're taking off in the middle of the day, every day fishing. I've never seen somebody fishing by themselves actually sell a policy. A client or a friend, for Pete's sake. But what happens is we get addicted to that release. And the addiction, it's not like I had to smoke a pack of cigarettes to want to smoke the next pack of cigarettes. No, it's like you did it once. And dopamine addiction is different. People don't understand. Like, you did it once. And so, and I'm not saying people shouldn't have a release, but I think on the back end of a release, you've got to have a catch that pulls you back in. Like, hey, okay, like I am going to take the day off and go fishing because it's been a crappy day. And honestly, where my mind's at, there's nothing else that's positive that's going to come out of today. I've already made that decision. However, before I leave, I'm going to put down on a piece of paper what I'm going to accomplish tomorrow. So I can come in tomorrow with intention and not take off in the middle of the day again because I didn't have a plan. But that addiction, it just gets, it's insane. And it's everything, social media, alcohol, fishing, porn, like, I see more agents wasting more time. And then those are the same agents, by the way. And sometimes it's not that. Sometimes it's, I disappeared to a service project. Okay, well, if you're doing service projects for the church 10 hours a day, I hope the church is paying you because your business sure as hell isn't. And I understand you have a moral obligation to the God you believe in and in that community, but you also have a moral obligation to feed your fucking family. Like, So anyways, I think addiction knows no bounds, but it's something we don't really talk about in this business. But the thing that brings you back, the thing that keeps you from it and brings you back from it is daily discipline and good habits. And like you're talking, we call it whole self-centric, but being well-rounded, understanding that your business isn't everything. Your business is 8 hours of your day. That's it, So I don't know.
It can't. Yeah. And look, I think you'll go through seasons of life where you will have identity changes more than likely. And and a lot of this comes with, in my opinion, experience. You only know what you know. Like when you are a brand new business owner, you only know what you know. When you're 10 years in, you have a lot more experience. And so you have the ability to now navigate these seasons of life, or like the days we're talking about. And that comes with time. And so the biggest thing that you can do if you're like a new agent or new business owner listening to this is, I think, find mentors or peers that you want to be like and surround yourself with like-minded individuals, because the old saying, like birds of a same feather flock together, it's that for a reason. Not that you got to buy into the whole like pay to get into a room or anything like that. While there is some truth to some of those sayings, but I think if you can just associate with individuals that are positive, optimistic, like-minded, doing things, that automatically is going to set you up for more success, or the likelihood to be able to lean on people that have been in your situation that can help guide you through. They're not going to be able to they can guide you through it, but at the end, here's the thing is you have to go through the pain of the journey to get to the other side. There is no skipping the process. There is no secret bullet. There is none of that crap. Like, you gotta go through the shit sometimes to get over to the greener pastures. And sometimes it's just watering your own grass, right? So, and that's where mentors and peers can come in really handy. But with that being said, you want to make sure that they're the right group, because if they're the negative ones, if they're all the ones talking about all the problems, or you tell them a problem and they start telling you, that's not good. Like, those are not the types of peers that I want in my corner. So anyways, I kind of went off on a rant right there, but I think what you're saying is it is super important, period.
Yeah. So dude, kind of pivoting real quick.
Yep.
I've got like 5 different pivots. So internally, I'm like, which one do we want to take? We'll take the most appropriate pivot. Well, something I like to ask folks when they come on is, what got you into not just where you're at now, mentoring and teaching, doing all these really cool things, and you're doing an incredible job with it, but insurance in general? Because I've never met a human being on earth that woke up and there you were, rampantly aroused, and you looked down at all your triumphant glory and said, that's because of insurance. Like, it hasn't ever happened, right? There was probably something else you wanted to be when you were a kid. What was that thing? And then what kind of led from that point to, all right, I guess I got to do insurance for a living, or hey, I'm going to do insurance,
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I always had a dream of being a professional athlete. Obviously that didn't happen. So then I went to college. I grew up in a small town.
What sport? Are we talking like curling?
I would love football, man. I would love like Emmitt Smith, baby. Let's do it. No, just that wasn't
the hips that'll make them trip.
That's right. So I wasn't in, genetics, that just wasn't going to happen. So I grew up in a small town, very blue collar family. I knew from a very young age, I've been money motivated. And I know there's a group or crowd out there that can shit on people that, money, like whatever, like period.
Those poor people, just for clarification.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I was very money motivated. I still am money motivated. Now, 21-year-old Michael versus 37-year-old Michael, totally different. 37-year-old Michael understands that the only way you make a lot of money is if you help a lot of people. 21-year-old Michael didn't know that. 21-year-old Michael was just like, I just want to make a lot of money in my life. And so I originally went to school for law because I was like, man, if I become a lawyer, every lawyer I know makes a lot of money, live in the biggest houses in town. Like, that's okay. That's what I'm going to do. And then I just happened, as I was telling Peter, stumble across an opportunity while looking for an internship to be able to graduate. An insurance agent showed me a paycheck. I was like, yeah, that looks pretty good. And I don't have to go more in debt to go to law school. So I just lucked into the insurance industry, honestly, Carson. And then one thing led to another. I bought into the vision of owning my own agency. And I think at this point right now, I think insurance and financial services is by far the best opportunity in the world for anyone if you're willing to put in the work, develop and grow yourself. And with AI entering the picture in the future, I think that it's going to make all of our jobs a lot easier and allow us to be more efficient with our time and help more people and make more money. So there's a reason why the financial services industry produces more millionaires than any other industry in the world. So
Yeah, that's awesome. So what took you from getting in the industry to spending 4 months out of the year? And this wasn't your first year. I've talked with you before. You guys love Sedona. Like that is your place of peace. What took you from getting in the industry? Because let's be honest, back in those days, it was probably like, holy shit, what do I do now?
Yep.
Right. How'd you go from that to, okay, we've got some established stuff. We've grown agencies and exited agencies. We're helping other agents do the same. And we're in a place now where I can take a third of my year and go spend it in my place of peace, right?
yeah. Yep. Yeah, it hasn't always been like this. I mean, when I look back at 15, so me and Courtney have been together a little over 14 years. And I mean, think about 14 years ago, we were living in a 300 square foot apartment. Even 10 years ago, before we bought our first house, that apartment size was like 400 square feet, hell of an upgrade, 100 square feet, right? So, but I think we all overestimate what we can do in a year and underestimate what can be done in 5 to 10 years. And so that's one cool exercise we do every year. And I'll answer your question here in a second, Carson, but like every single year and sometimes twice a year, we look back at where we started and we go in 5-year increments of what we achieved. And that's really good to see because so many times as a high performer, we're always focused on what's next. What's the next goal? What do we need to get better? When you can look at what you've accomplished, that actually is a hell of a confidence builder to be like, wow, I've come a long ways in 15 years. I've come a long ways in 10 years. And so in 2016, to answer your question, 2017. So we'd have been 3 years into the insurance agency, had a good core team, felt like we had good processes and systems. We went on a 30-day hiatus. So we took a trip. This was really one of our very first vacations besides our honeymoon and a couple little week vacations to Mexico. We went to New Zealand, Australia, and Thailand for 32, 33 days. And we didn't work the whole time we were there. And when we got back, came back to 3 hours of work. And I was like, this is pretty awesome. Well, what that also sparked is number one, a love for travel, and number two, a need to disconnect from the business, because while we were gone on that trip, that's when Weaver Sales Academy was born. So on the 18-hour plane ride, I listened to the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss and then sit down and did my business plan for Weaver Sales Academy. So that spiraled into a bunch of things with more businesses, understanding the importance of not being a control freak and delegation and trusting and empowering those that are on your team to do the job you've hired them for. And then we've exited some businesses. So now we just do Weaver Sales full time. But in 2022, when we exited a lot of businesses, we went and we lived in an RV. So we bought a 44-foot Coach A and we traveled the whole West Coast for 3.5 months. So that was like, shit, okay, this is cool. And then in 2024 is when we did Sedona for the first winter. So we went for 3 months, loved it. And then this year we went for 4 months, and it is our peaceful place, but we love to travel. It is a slower season for us, I would say, while we're there, but we believe in seasons, right? So while we're still working, we try to be as intentional as possible to where, okay, so the morning times are work, afternoons or get out, hike, enjoy. So it's a slower season. It's more of a dreaming season. And then when we get back home, I would say this is more of a grinding season for us. Even though it's lake season for us, we live in our dream home on the lake. It's still a lot of grinding. We're about to be launching a new company in August. So all those dreams that we have and put together in over a 4-month time frame of a slower season, disconnecting from the business a little bit. Now it's like, okay, let's make these dreams come through. And by putting some massive intentional action behind everything that we talked about over the last 4 months. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I'm a big believer in disconnecting from the business, even if it's just 2 days out of the month. Disconnect and just dream a little bit. Remember why you got into the business. Remember, or start thinking about, what do I want to achieve? What is my big dream? What is my big goal? Because if you're always in the day to day, it's really hard to dream. It's really hard to have a vision. You're just stuck in the day to day, minute task of day in, day out. And it's one of the best things we've ever done. And luckily, Courtney loves to travel. I would have been the guy that would have worked 18 hours a day every single day the rest of my life. But she sparked something in me that now I love to travel just as much as she does. So we've been to 30 something countries since 2017, pretty much every state in the US, and we just love it.
You keep dropping this word, believe. You keep saying, I believe, I believe, I believe.
Mhm.
What's at the core? Like, what's at the root of your belief system? Where does your belief system come from?
Ooh. Well, Midwest, born and raised. So I'm early on. I think Midwesterns are just, look, at the core, hard work, integrity, character. My last name is everything. I mean, that's a lot of my beliefs. And I believe that shows up in everything I do. At least I hope I do. That's why everything I do, that's why I named Weaver Sales Academy. Like, I hope that when people work with us, they know what they get. Like, I'm going to do everything I freaking can to make sure you have the best experience possible. And I put a lot on that. And that probably is a Midwestern thing. So that's some of my beliefs. But I say I believe a lot because this is really important. Not necessarily like my core values and my character. Like, that's a little bit different than a belief system. Some of the things I say in the insurance industry, like my sales philosophy and things like that, I say belief a lot. Just like, I believe disconnecting from the business is something you should be doing. Does that make it true? Doesn't make it true. Does it make it right? Doesn't make it right. Does it make it true for me? Yes. Is it something I believe that actually helps me? Yes. Is it? So that's why I say I believe a lot, because some of these things I talk about, like a morning routine, getting outside, traveling, getting some hobbies, not making your identity what you do for a living. While I believe that is true because that's my experience and it's true for me and it's my belief system, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be your belief system or it's true for you, right? So that's why I typically say that, because I believe we live in a world specifically of influencers on social media that say one thing, and it's like, just because it's good for one thing, if they're even doing it, by the way, a lot of what we see is bullshit on social media, but just because it's true for somebody doesn't mean it's going to be true for you unless you actually adopt that as like a core belief. And so that's why I always say, I typically preface with, I believe.
No, I like that. And by the way, the Midwest is where like most of the best heavy metal comes from, and emo, screamo music. I'm just saying, bunch of children of the corn out there.
We got a bunch of cornfields, and yeah, that's about it out here, man.
Soybeans, yeah.
That's right.
I spent my time in Indiana, Ohio. I did the time.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
No, that's awesome, man. What, like, as a married individual, you know, and Courtney several times, and getting to know y'all the little bit I have, but also just today on this podcast, you've mentioned Courtney several times and how instrumental she has been to your belief system, but also equally, or maybe even more importantly, your follow through. You maybe mind talking about that a little bit, because from the sounds of it, Michael, you got a damn good partner in life, and having something I found is having a damn good partner in life makes it a lot easier to go further. And that's not to say like, hey, you're single, go shack up, but maybe just when the people that are around you choose to bear you up, and not just bear you up, but carry you up, like they'll carry the banner if need be.
Yeah.
What has that done for you in your life? What has that done for you in your career? And if you were talking to somebody that maybe didn't think they had that personal life, and not just the single folks, but there's a lot of people out there who are married or who have a partner who don't feel supported. What would you say to them so that they can recruit some of that support that they need, that you found so many blessings and so much traction through?
Yeah, and it is a blessing. So Courtney we would never accomplish any of this without each other, period. Like we're a team, we're a unit. That's why we've been business partners on every single business. She's got strengths that I don't have. I have strengths that she doesn't have. I'm definitely more of the masculine energy. She's definitely more of the feminine energy. Not to say that she doesn't carry some masculine and I don't carry some feminine, because I do and she does, but we offset each other really well. And she has ideas that don't come to me, and I have ideas that don't come to her. And so in the business aspect of working together, because that's the number one thing I hear is, man, I could never work with my spouse. I could never work with my spouse. You'd actually be surprised when a couple, and this is my experience, so I'm biased, but when you are bought into the same vision, same path, understand what you want out of life, and you have two people going at it versus just one, man, that has made things amazing. Not that there's not bumps in the road, right? So when you work together, you're going to bump heads every now and then. And so, but that's also, I think, helped our personal relationship because it's increased our ability to communicate and solve problems or arguments or fights so much faster. Now that may come with experience in a relationship too, but you asked me a question and I would answer it the way I always answer it, because I get asked this a lot of times from, I mean, insurance agency owners have I don't know statistically anymore what the divorce rate is, but the divorce rate is really high for business owners and specifically even insurance agency owners. I would say that communication is extremely important from day one. If they're not working, if you guys aren't working together, it's not that they're ever going to be able to really comprehend or understand necessarily what's going on in the business, what you're dealing with, and the stresses that come with it. But that doesn't mean that you can't have an open line of communication instead of just holding everything in and feeling like you have to bear everything. Like there's so much damn stress that comes with being a business owner, being in sales, being in insurance, whatever you want to say, to where I think the number one reason that relationships are the way they are right now, with a divorce rate of upwards of 52-53% in the US, is just poor communication skills of trying to just hold everything in, figure it out yourself. When you do communicate, you blow up. And so that would be the very first thing I would say is like communication is key, and understanding, hey, we have to have a similar like belief. We have to understand, what vision do you have for this relationship? What vision do we have? What vision do we have for our life? These are things that we've been talking about for a long time that I when I ask this question, I get a lot of responses. Well, we don't really talk about that. I'm like, well, that's the very first thing I would start talking about, is making sure that you're on the, like, you got to be on the same team here. It's a team. It's your partner is the number one most important decision you will ever make in your life. Business, you can open a lot of businesses. Your relationship, the person you spend the next 50, 60, 70, 100 years with, that is by far the most important decision you will ever make in your life. And quite frankly, it's a business contract. You got to sign papers when you get married. That's what makes it official. And so that's what I would say. I would say communicate, communicate, communicate. And when you think you've communicated, communicate more, like overly communicate. And I can go into some other like tangible things around date nights or around shut off time that we've just learned along the way, of understanding you can't talk about work all the time, specifically with somebody that's not even in the business. That's going to bore the shit out of them. But communication, period, I think is the number one key.
Dude, along with that, Peter, this will take 10 seconds and then I will shut up.
Deal.
I was going to say, along with that, something I found over the last, this has really been, Michael, I think we started in the business about the same time, actually, just hearing your timeline. And so, for years, this was not a realization I had. My wife is just absolutely amazing, but she's not in the business. She does other things, and she's incredible at bringing value to our home and even our business in other ways, right? And it's really just been the last few years that I've shut up enough, my type A personality, I've just shut up enough and listened enough to realize that, like, this whole time I thought I was communicating really, really well, but all I was communicating was my bad days, my frustrations, when shit didn't go right, when I was pissed off, when I was angry, which is a lot because I'm an asshole. And black shirt, black heart, like, that's what they say. But
The first step is admitting you have a problem. So that's good.
what I've really tried very hard to do the last several years that I found like has really helped, and we still have our issues, right? That we're working through, but it's really helped. That I hope, when you're talking about tactical stuff, being more tactical with, like, I had a win today, I need to make sure I tell her about that.
Yep.
Like, she's my safe place and I can vent, and like she gives me that spot, and I will honor her and appreciate her forever because of that. But I got to give her that win that I got. That win is what kept me going today. if it was a policy sold, if it was just a really cool conversation with a larger opportunity that may turn into nothing, but hey, it's there. If like,
Yep.
I don't know if it was a client sending a Google review that just floored me, I got to share the win. And I need to be more tactical and frankly intentional about sharing that, because the easy thing to share was the thing about my day that sucked. The hard thing to share is amidst all that to be like, hey, yeah, all this crap happened, but you know what? My whole day was entirely vindicated by this. So anyways, Peter, that was more than 10 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, not that I'm counting or anything, but what was that about mama not raising any short-winded boys? Yeah, I think with the communication thing, I think a lot of times the trap we fall into is we feel like we're communicating. We feel like we're being effective communicators. But at the end of the day, you can take anything and there's really only three parts to it, right? There's the what, the how, and the why. And most of the time when we have challenges with communication, it's because we're not giving the person that we're trying to communicate with the part of the puzzle that they need to fill in the blank. Like, I've got an agent that I'm mentoring right now, and we did not do a good job at clearly communicating the why on a couple things that we were asking her to do. I thought that she understood because we gave her the what and the how. Look, when you do this, then you get this. And then she was just on the struggle bus with this concept, could not get over it. And the questions that she was asking was like, well, what's the least amount of calls that I need to do? And then I stopped and I'm like, oh, you don't understand why I'm asking you to do this. It's like, let me back up and tell you why I'm asking you to do what I'm asking you to do. Like, so you have an income goal, right? Yeah. Okay. To reach that income goal, you need to meet with a certain number of people, right? Yeah. So, okay. And you need to close a certain number of business, right? Yeah. Okay. So we need income as the end goal so you can do cool things with your family, right? Yeah. All right. Well, then you need to close X amount of business, right? Well, to close X amount of business, your closing rate is this. So you need to meet with this many people. But to get to that closing appointment, you need X amount of fact-finding appointments. And to generate that many fact-finding appointments, you need to be talking to, let's say that 3 out of 10 people that you talk to are going to give you the opportunity to have a fact-finding appointment. She's like, yeah. I was like, okay. And you want to have 2 appointments, 2 new fact findings a day, right? It's like, yeah. I was like, then you need to be talking to at least 10 new people a day to get you to that first step, that gets you to the second step, that gets you to the third step, that gets you to the fourth step, that gets you the end goal you're looking for. That's why I'm asking you to do that. It's not busy work. Like, I'm not asking you to do something just for the sake of doing it. And the second I gave her the why, she was like, oh, and now she's making 20, 30 phone calls a day because she understands why she's doing the things that we're asking her to do. It finally connected, because although I thought I was clearly communicating that, I only gave her the what and the how, right? Yep. And my life is the same way. It's like, I communicate things to her and we'll have conversations. And I realize sometimes, like, oh, you don't understand the what or the how, but you get the why, right? But there's a component missing. And so in that communication, like, I try to, if I just make sure that I hit on those 3 things, most of the time I'm able to effectively get my point across, because everybody understands where we're headed, how we're going to get there, and why we're doing it.
Yeah, I agree. The why is extremely important. And I love that. I love how you just laid down that framework as well. But that's part of why, like, I said up front, like, you have to be bought into the same vision. Like, you have to be bought into the same goals, because that's going to help understand the long nights. That's going to help understand the long days. That's going to help understand that maybe they only see you on Sundays for the first 6 months of your career. That's an exaggeration, but the why is extremely important. And Carson, I agree with you 100% on everything you just said.
Right, we're done. Close with that.
Well, it's like, because it's so easy to talk. It's so easy.
I agree with you 100%. Michael Weaver.
It's easy to talk about the bad. It's easy to talk about the shit problems that come up every single day. But if that's all you tell them about, then all they're going to think is, man, this business is a bunch of shit. Like, hey, Carson comes home every day in a bad mood because of all the bad things going on. And then that why starts to diminish a little bit. And so I love that you're like, look, we got to start talking about the good. And I brought up this question earlier. If this helps you get into a good place when you get home, the very first thing you could ask your spouse is, what's the best thing that happened to you today? And then, here was the best thing that happened to me today. Like, I think that's actually one, I don't know if this is why Courtney and I do this or not. It was more of a gratitude thing. But when you ask that question, And it's a powerful question. We've been doing this now for a couple years and it really has changed our life for the better. It automatically makes you replay the whole day of all the good things that happen. And it's actually pretty magical how many good things happen throughout the day that you forget about, which minimizes the few bad things that happen, but they feel like monsters of the day. And so
I love that, man. We got in that. So basically the same question verbatim. It's just, hey, what was the best part of your day? Right.
Yep.
And a few years, probably like 5-6 years ago, we kind of got in the habit of like every day at the end of the day, that was kind of the question, but we'd ask that of our boys. I've gotten an 8 and a 10-year-old. And it's like, hey, what was the best part of your day? And they'd be like, oh, mommy's milk, or no, not at the time. But they'd be like, well, mom made the best mac and cheese today, or whatever. They would just,
Yep.
the most innocent stuff. Do you know what's cool now? Like half a decade later, we sit down to dinner and it's the end of the day and like my brain is fried and I'm just like, and all of a sudden Jensen or James, one of them will pipe up and they're like, what's the best part about your day, Dad? And it's like, boom, it just, like you said, all that fry that I'm feeling, all that just, I want to shut down. I want to shut down and just go doom scroll.
Yep.
But instead I need to answer this question real quick. And by the time I'm done answering it, it's like, shit, I don't want to do anything but positive, fulfilling, happy, productive things at this point. Like, and I've got an 8-year-old extracting that out of me. And it's so cool to see, like, asking that questions a few times. It sounds so selfish, and I'm not saying go program your children. That's fucking weird, but also,
Hey, they're getting programmed by something. So
But also
not
program your
programmed by you.
you know if someone's going to.
doubt it. Oh, what a protective thing, like for myself, for my family, for Camille's, because here's the thing. I know I've got a strong personality. If daddy's in a bad mood, family's not in a good mood. And what a cool protection for me that like was totally unintended. We didn't intend that, but all of a sudden here they are and they're like, Dad, what was the best part about your day? It's like, and the weight just comes off. Right. And I don't know. It's cool.
And the cool thing about that is when they're asking that, they're already starting to think about the best part that happened to their day. So that's a game changer. That's a legacy changer. I believe. Like I don't know. Like I've already tend to be a positive, optimistic individual, but that little exercise that we're talking about right now really did change our lives for the better. Because when you play this game, and you can agree with me or not, but when you think about it, I would say 95% of my day is actually pretty good stuff. 5%, maybe a problem or two comes up. But man, like from start to finish, a lot of good things happen throughout a day, but we're always so damn focused on the problem that happened or the problem that's in our head that we got to solve. And that's why it's been good for me.
Oh, dude, a bird.
It's a good headspace to be in, man.
Yeah. A bird can fly for 8 hours a day, but one 1 pound brick will hold that bird down. Like,
Yep.
Be a birdie.
Yep.
Fly, cut away the brick.
Well, and find opportunities to recognize the good, not just at the end of the day. I went and had some tires put on my car a couple weeks ago, and this same discount tire, I had probably the worst customer service 2 years ago. I went back, they had the stuff in stock, went back in, and it was night and day difference. And I'm a firm believer of when things don't go right, I let people know about it. But when things go right, I also let people know about it. Right. And I think it's important to have that side of it. It's like I went after the stuff was done. I was like, hey, is the store manager around? And the color just drains out of the guy's head. And he's like, yeah, give me a second. Like, hey, Todd, this guy wants to talk to you. It's like, hey, everything okay? I was like, yeah, man, everything was great. It's like, I just wanted to tell you, I'm a firm believer in when things don't go right, I tell people, but I tell people when things do go right too. And I'm sure you probably don't get a whole lot of this, but today was fantastic. Your team was on it, man. Like I talked to 5 or 6 different employees. Every single one of them was personable, professional, polite. They helped get the job done. It's like, this was what buying tires was supposed to be like. It's like the last time I was here when the store was under different management, it was not like this. So I just wanted to tell you, good job, good work. Tell your team, great job. I just want to say, I appreciate you. And he was like, oh man, thank you so much. He's like, yeah, you have no idea, man. This guy, the only time somebody asks to talk to the manager at a restaurant or a discount tire or wherever is when somebody messed something up, And so taking that time to recognize just in day-to-day kind of activity, I do that at a grocery store. If one of the checkout clerks or the bag boy or whoever does a good job, I tell somebody else about it, because that gets me in that headspace. And then, it's reciprocity. If I'm doing that for other people, I guarantee it's going to come back to me too.
Yep.
Yeah. So wrapping up here, Michael, with the couple minutes we have left, what's next for y'all? I know you said you're starting a new business here in August, and I don't expect you to tell us about that. I'm sure there's a few things you want to keep under wraps till you're ready, but what's the next big vision? Where are you guys going over the next 1, 2, 5 years? And what impact do you hope that brings to the world?
Yeah. So we're going to continue to travel a lot. Hopefully we'll be blessed with some kiddos over the next 1, 3, 5 years. And honestly, this business we're doing, so it's going to be an AI coaching and training business that I believe will solve a lot of agency owners' problems. It's going to bring a lot of transparency. And I do believe that it can actually be a huge disruptor to the insurance industry for the better, right? And that's really where my life focus. Obviously, Weaver Sales Academy is rocking and rolling, tremendous product. We help out thousands of insurance professionals across the country, and it's not going anywhere. But this new business is I'm bought in, I'm sold, I'm very bullish because I do believe, again, I'll go back to the beginning, the more people you help, the more money you make. And I had a conversation with myself back in October. Well, me and Courtney had a conversation. We're like, who's going to put us out of business? Because when you start thinking about who's going to put you out of business, that means a better product came to market. And that got our wheels spinning around what could we develop or what would it take? And that's the business we went on to create. And not that it's going to put us out of business, but it is going to solve a lot of major problems and needs for the insurance space. Because I think technology, while insurance has been a pretty slow adopter to technology throughout the past, I do believe that we are in a time period where change is just happening faster than ever, specifically with technology. And so how can we utilize technology to enhance our opportunity, to enhance the customer experience, to enhance our experience, to be that CEO in your business, to have more time back, right? Buying back your time, but making more money and having full transparency. And I believe that the things that are coming out there with technology are going to help business owners and sales producers be better at what they do so they can do more at what they love with doing less of what they hate. So that's what we got going on, man. We've always said since 2018 when we started Weaver Sales Academy, we went off on this venture. We exited and quit the other businesses because we wanted to make a positive impact to the insurance industry. We wanted to bring positive change. We wanted to disrupt. And while we thought Weaver Sales Academy was going to do that, and it has brought positive impact and change, I do believe this new AI coaching and training business that we've created is going to actually be the business that does what we intended to do when we started out in the coaching and training space back in 2018, brother.
Dude, that is awesome. If folks wanted to find you guys, where would they find you?
Yep. So we're all over. So we have the podcast. So Insurance Buzz, it's really dedicated towards, I would say, P&C and life agents. So the Insurance Buzz podcast, we're all over socials. So you can just put Michael Weaver, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn is probably my social of choice at this point in time in my career. YouTube. And so a lot of people choose to watch the Insurance Buzz on YouTube, and we put out a lot of content on YouTube as well. So I'm a published author as well. I've got a couple books, Game Changer, taking your insurance agency to the next level. So that's more for insurance agents in the P&C life space. And then 3, how to make multiple 6 figures in any sales organization. That's just for a sales producer, sales agent, anyone in sales that just wants to be better at what they do, have a more of a roadmap of success and take some of the question marks out of success. That's why I wrote that book. So other than that, man, like I love the insurance industry. I've dedicated my life to it. So yeah, give me a follow, free value on Insurance Buzz. That's what I'm all about.
Cool. Dude, thank you so much for being here. Peter, anything else before we wrap up?
2 things. What size t-shirt do you wear?
I wear a large.
All right.
Maybe a medium every now and then. Here.
Yeah. And then, man, so I'm in Arizona. So the next time you come out to Arizona, give me a shout.
Where are you located?
I'm in East Valley.
Okay.
So Chandler.
Okay. Yeah, man. I'd love that. So we'll be, I think next year, sorry, I just texted my appointment, told him I'm running late. Next year, I don't know if we're going to win her in Sedona because she has a big birthday. So I'm going to take her on a trip in January. Then
Good save. Good save.
Well, I don't know if this is going to be edited. No, that's right. So she has a big
22. I found 22 is the safest number in the books.
Sweet spot.
So we're going to go on some trips next year. We're going to go to Patagonia in February for a few weeks. And then I think we're going to hit Yosemite in like April. So probably won't winter in Sedona next year, but we come out there a lot, and we're going to look at buying a place out there
Awesome.
in the fall. So we'll definitely be out there.
Cool, man. Cool.
Sweet. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Peter. I'm sorry I was late again. That's my bad.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. I always enjoy these conversations, and any way I can you guys want to do this again, let me know. These are real, vulnerable, honest conversations, and I get down on that. So I appreciate you guys holding the space and just giving back to your community in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Let me know if I can do anything for either of you.
All right, guys. Have a great day.